I heard Nimanita Prabhu also say it's okay, but because there is other options, usually we should go to those first. So who would like to chant the Mangalachan prayers today?
So, Prabhu, I can chant.
Haribol. Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
No. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Savitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Dvi Guru Shri Yutapatakamelam Dvi Gurun Vaisnavascha श्रीरूपं दाग्जातं दगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं तजीवं सद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्यामने नमस्ते सारस्वते गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् प्रणवतां सुखदा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवणकीर्तन अत्यन्तस्तोय भद्राणि वितनोति सुरसताम् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमस्तुके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी For starting this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasdeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, supertold in everyone's earth, and the benefactor of truthful devotee, cleansed desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear each message, which are in themselves so virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in the classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead who is blessed with transcendental song is established as an irrevocable fact. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for giving me chance.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, who would like to start reading today?
I'll start, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu Tandarpram, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna both Dandavat Pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prabhupada. अहो बाता स्वपाचो तो घरियान यज जेवाग्रे वर्तते नाम तुभ्यं ते पुस्तपस जुहुवुः जुहुवुः सासुर सास्नुर आर्या ब्रह्मानुचोर नाम ग्रन्थि यते अहो बाता oh how glorious swa achaha a dog eater ataha hence gariyan worshipable yat of whom jivagre on the tip of the tongue vartate is nama the holy name tubhyam unto you tepo tapaha practiced austerities te they ju juhu juhu executed fire sacrifices sasnu take bath in the sacred rivers Arya, Aryans, Brahma Anuchuhu study the Vedas, Nama, the holy name, Granthi, accept, ye, they, who, they, your. Translation. Oh, how glorious are they whose tongues are chanting your holy name, even if born in the families of dog eaters. Such persons are worshipable. Persons who can't chant the holy name of your lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices and achieved all the good manners of the Aryans. To be chanting the holy name of your lordship, they must have bathed at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. Purport. As it is stated in the previous verse, a person who has offenselessly chanted the holy name of God becomes immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. One should not be astonished by this statement of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. One should not disbelieve or think how by chanting the holy name of the Lord can one become a holy man to be compared with the most elevated Brahmana. To eradicate such doubts in the mindsets of unbelievers, this verse affirms that the stage of chanting of the holy name of the Lord is not sudden, but the chanters have already performed all kinds of Vedic rituals and sacrifices. It is not very astounding because no one in this life can chant the holy name of the Lord unless he has passed all lower stages, such as performing the Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, studying the Vedas, and practicing good behavior like that of the Aryans. All this must first have been done. Just as a student in a law class is to be understood to have already graduated from general education. So, anyone who is engaged in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, must have already passed all lower stages. It is said that those who simply chant the holy name with the tip of the tongue are glorious. One does not even have to chant the holy name and understand the whole procedure, namely the offensive stage. Offensive stage and pure stage, if the holy name is sounded on the tip of the tongue, that is also sufficient. It is said herein that Nama, a singular number, one name Krishna or Rama, is sufficient. It is not that one has to chant all the holy names of the Lord. The holy names of the Lord are innumerable, and one does not have to chant all the names to prove that. He has already undergone all the processes of Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. If one chants once only, it is to be understood that he has already passed all the examinations, not to speak of those who are chanting twenty-four hours a day. It is specifically said Tubhyam unto you only. One must chant God's name not as a Mayavadi philosophers say any name such as a demigod's name or the names of God's energies. Only the holy name of the Supreme Lord will be effective. Anyone who compares the holy name of the Supreme Lord to the names of the demigods is called pas- pasandi or an pashandi or an offender. The holy name has to be chanted to please the Supreme Lord and not for any sense gratification or professional purpose. If this pure mentality is there, then even though a person is born of a low family, such as a dog eaters, he is so glorious that not only has he purified himself, but he is quite competent to deliver others. He is competent to speak on the importance of the transcendental name, just as Thakura Haridasa did. He was apparently born in a family of Mohammedans. But because he was chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord offenselessly, Lord Chaitanya empowered him to become the authority or Acharya of spreading the name. It didn't matter that he was born in a family which was not following the Vedic rules and regulations. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaita Prabhu accepted him as an authority because he was offenselessly chanting the name of the Lord. Authorities like Advaita Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya immediately accepted that he has already performed all kinds of austerities, studied the Vedas, and performed all sacrifices. That is automatically understood. There is a hereditary class of Brahmanas called the Smarta Brahmanas, however, who are of the opinion that even if such persons are chanting the holy name of the Lord are accepted as purified, they still have to perform the Vedic rites or await their next birth in a family of Brahmanas so that they can perform the Vedic rituals, but actually, that is not the case. Such a man does not need to wait for the next birth to become purified. He is at once purified. It is understood that he has already performed all sorts of rites. It is the so called Brahmanas who actually have to undergo different kinds of austerities before reaching the point of purification. There are many other Vedic performances which are not described here. All such Vedic rituals have already been performed by the chanters of the holy name. The word Juhuvu means that the chanters of the holy name have already performed all kinds of sacrifices. Sasno means that they have already traveled to all the holy places of pilgrimage and taken part in the purificatory activities at those places. They are called Aryaha because they have already finished all these requirements, and therefore they must be among the Aryans or those who have qualified themselves to become Aryans. Aryan refers to those who are civilized, whose manners are regulated according to the Vedic rituals. Any devotee who is chanting the holy name of the Lord is the best kind of Aryan unless one studies the Vedas. One cannot become an Aryan, but it is automatically understood that the chanters have already studied all the Vedic literature. The specific word used here is anuchuhu, which means that because they have already completed all those recommended acts, they have become qualified to be spiritual masters. The word granati, which is used in this verse, means to be already established in the perfectional stage of ritualistic performances. If one is seated on the bench of a high court and is giving judgment on cases, it means that he has already passed all legal exams and is better than those who are engaged in the study of law or those who are expecting to study law in the future. In a similar way, persons who are chanting the holy name are transcendental to those who are actually performing the Vedic rituals and those who expect to be qualified. Or, in other words, those who are born in families of Brahmanas but not have yet undergone the reformatory processes and who therefore expect to study the Vedic rituals and perform the sacrifices in the future. There are many Vedic versions in different places saying that anyone who chants the holy name of the Lord becomes immediately freed from conditional life and that anyone who hears the holy name of the Lord, even though born of a family of dog eaters, also becomes liberated from the clutches of material entanglement. Text 8. Tvam tamaham tam 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 tvam aham brahma param pumamsam pratyak srotasi atmani samvibhavayam स्वतेजसध्वस्तगुणा प्रवहं वन्दे Vishnum Kapila Veda Garbham. Tam unto him, Tvam, you, Aham, I, Brahma, Brahman, Param, Supreme, Pumamsam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Pratyak, Srotasi, turned inwards, Atmani, in the mind, Sam, Samvibhavyam, meditated upon, perceived, Swatejasa, by your own potency, Dhvasta, vanished, Guna Pravaham, the influence of the modes of material nature. One day I offer obeisances, Vishnu, unto Lord Vishnu, Kapilam, named Kapila, Veda Garbham, the repository of the Vedas. Translation: I believe, my Lord, that you are, Lo- you are Lord Vishnu himself under the name of Kapila, and you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Brahman, saints, and the sages, being free from all disturbances of the senses and mind, meditate upon you. For by your mercy, only can one become free from the clutches of the three modes of material nature. At the time of dissolution, all the Vedas are sustained in you only. Purport: Devahuti, the mother of Kapila, instead of prolonging her prayer, summarized that Lord Kapila was none other than Vishnu, and that since she was a woman, it was not possible for her to worship him properly simply by prayer. It was her intention that the Lord should be satisfied. The word pratyak is significant. In yogic practice, the 8 divisions are yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Pratyahara means to wind up the activities of the senses. Just a moment. Sorry. Pratyahara means to wind up the activities of the senses. The level of realization of the Supreme Lord evidenced by Devahuti is possible when one is able to withdraw the senses from material activities. When one is engaged in devotional service, there is no scope for his senses to be engaged otherwise. In such full Krishna consciousness, one can understand the Supreme Lord as he is. Text 9. Maitreya Vacha Idito Bhagavanivam Kapilakya Para Puman Vacha Viklavayetyaha Mataram Matra Vatsalaha Maitreya Vacha. Maitreya said, Iditaha, praised Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Evam, thus Kapila Akhyaha, named Kapila, Para, supreme, Puman, person, Vacha, with words, A- A- Aviklavaya, grave, Iti, thus, Aha, replied, Mataram, to his mother, Matra Vatsala, very affectionate to his mother. Translation: thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, satisfied by the words of his mother, towards whom he was very affectionate, replied with gravity. Purport: since the Lord is all perfect, his exhibition of affection for his mother was complete. After hearing the words of his mother, he was most respectfully, with due gravity and good manners, replied. Text 10. Kapila Vacha Margenanena mataste susevyeno me astitena param kashtam achirad avarotyasi. Kapila Vacha, Lord Kapila said, Margena, by the path, Anena, this Mataha, my dear mother, Te, for you, so Savyena, very easy to execute, Uditena, instructed, me, by me, Astitena, being performed, Param, supreme, Kashtam, Kashtam, goal, Achirat, very soon, Avarotyami, Avarotyasi, you will attain. Translation: the personality of God had said, my dear mother, the path of self realization, which I've already instructed to you, is very easy. You can execute the system without difficulty, and by following it, you shall very soon be liberated, even within your present body. Purport: devotional service is so perfect that simply by following the rules and regulations and executing them under the direction of the spiritual master, one is liberated, as it is said herein, from the clutches of Maya, even in this body. In other yogic processes or in empiric philosophical speculation, one is never certain whether or not he is at the perfectional stage. But in the discharge of devotional service, if one has unflinching faith in the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master and follows the rules and regulations, he is sure to be liberated even within this present body. Srila Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has also confirmed this. Iha yasya hare dasye. Anyone whose only aim is to serve the Supreme Lord under the direction of the spiritual master, regardless of where he is situated, is called Jivana Mukta, or one who is liberated even with his material body. Sometimes doubts arise in the minds of neophytes about whether or not the spiritual master is liberated, and sometimes neophytes are doubtful about the bodily affairs of the spiritual master. The point of liberation, however, is not to see the bodily symptoms of the spiritual master. One has to see the spiritual symptoms of the spiritual master. Jivana Mukta means that even though one is in the material body, there are still some material necessities since the body is material. Because one is fully situated in the service of the Lord, he is to be understood to be liberated. Liberation entails being situated in one's own position. That is the definition in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Muktir Swarupena Vyavastitihi. The Swarupa or actual identity of the living entity is described by Lord Chaitanya. Jevera Swarupa Haya Krishnera. Nityadasa. The real identity of the living entity is that he is eternally a servitor of the Supreme Lord. If someone is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord, he is to be understood as liberated. One must understand whether or not he is liberated by his activities in devotional service, not by other symptoms. Text 11.
Hare Krishna Prabhu's Dandavat Pranam Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Mr.
Prabhu's,
Prabhu.
can I read?
Prabhupada.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Siddharth Prabhu, for joining.
श्रद्धत्स्वैतन्मतं मह्यं जुष्टं यद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः येन मामभ्ययं याय मृत्युं ऋच्छन्त्य अतद्विदः Shraddhasya swa, you may rest assured, etat, about this, matam, instruction, mahyam, my, justam, followed, yat, which, brahmavadibhi, by transcendentalists, yena, by which, mam, unto me, abhayam, without fear, yaya, you shall reach, mrityam, death, richanti, attain, atat, with the persons who are not conversant with this. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear mother, those who are actually transcendentalists certainly follow my instructions as I have given them to you. You may rest assured that if you surely you shall be freed from fearful material contamination and shall ultimately reach me. Mother, persons who are not conversant with this method of devotional service certainly cannot get out of the cycle of birth and death. But material existence is full of anxiety and therefore it is fearful. One who gets out of this material existence automatically becomes free from all anxieties and fear. One who follows the path of devotional service enunciated by Lord Kapil is very easily liberated. Text 12. Maitreya Uvacha Iti pradarshya bhagavan satim tamatmano gatim swamatra brahmavadinya kapilo numanto yayo. Maitreya Uvacha, Maitreya said, Iti, thus, pradarshya, after instructing Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satim, Venerable, Tam, that, Atmanah, of self-realization, Gatim, path, Svamatra, from his mother, Brahma Vadinya, self-realized, Kapila, Lord Kapila, Anumata, took permission, Yayo, left. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Maitreya said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapila, after instructing his beloved mother, took permission from her and left his home, his mission having been fulfilled. The mission of the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Kapila was to distribute the transcendental knowledge of Sankhya philosophy, which is full of devotional service. Having imparted that knowledge to his mother and through his mother to the world, Kapila Dev had no more need to stay at home, so he took permission from his mother and left. Apparently, he left home for spiritual realization, although he had nothing to realize spiritually because he himself is the person to be spiritually realized. Therefore, this is an example set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead while acting like an ordinary human being so that others might learn from him. He could, of course, have stayed with his mother, but he indicated that there was no need to stay with the family. It is best to remain alone as a brahmachari, sannyasi, or vanaprastha and cultivate Krishna consciousness throughout one's whole life. Those who are unable to remain alone are given license to live in household life with wife and children, not for sense gratification, but for cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Text 13. साचापि तनयोक्तेन योगादेशेन योगयुक् तस्मिन् आश्रमापिदे सरस्वतया samahita. Sa, she, cha, and api also Tanaya by her son Uktena spoken yoga adeshena by the instruction of on yoga. Yoga yuk engaged in bhakti yoga. Tasmin in that ashrame hermitage apide the flower crown Saraswatya of the Saraswati Samahita fixed in samadhi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As instructed by her son, Devahuti also began to practice bhakti yoga in that very ashram. She practiced samadhi in the house of Kadarma Muni, which was so beautifully decorated with flowers that it was considered to be the flower crown of the river Saraswati. But Devahuti did not leave her house because it is never recommended for a woman to leave her home. She is dependent. The very example of Devahuti was that when she was not married, she was under the care of her father, Swayambhuva Manu. And then Swayambhuva Manu gave her to Kardam Muni in charity. She was under the care of her husband in her youth, and then her son Kapil Muni was born. As soon as her son grew up, her husband left home, and similarly, the son, after discharging his duty towards his mother, also left. She could not, she could also have left home, but she did not. Rather, she remained at home and began to practice Bhakti Yoga as it was instructed by her great son Kapila Muni. And because of her practice of Bhakti Yoga, the entire home became just like a flower crown on the river Saraswati. Text 14. अभिक्षनावगाह कपिशान जटिलान कुटिलालकान आत्मानं चोग्र तपसा बिभ्रति चिरिणं कृशम. Abhikshana, again and again. Avagaha, by Kapilan. Jatilan, matted. Kutila, curled. Alakan, hair. Atmanam, her body. Cha, and Ugra, Ugra Tapasa, by severe austerities. Bibhrati became Chirinam, cloth and rags. Krishnam, thin. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. She began to bathe 3 times daily, and thus her curling black hair gradually became grey. Due to austerity, her body gradually became thin, and she wore old garments. Purport. It is the practice of yogi, brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi to bathe at least 3 times daily, early in the morning, during noontime, and in the evening. These principles are strictly followed even by some grihasthas, especially brahmanas, who are elevated in spiritual consciousness. Devahuti was a king's daughter and almost a king's wife also. Although Kardama Muni was not a king, by his yogic mystic power, he accommodated Devahuti very comfortably in a nice palace with maidservants and all opulence. But since she had learned austerity even in the presence of her husband, there was no difficulty for her to be austere. Still, because of her body underwent severe austerity after the departure of her husband and son, she became thin. To be too fat is not very good for spiritually advanced life. Rather, one should reduce because if one becomes fat, it is an impediment to progress spiritual understanding. One should be careful not to eat too much, sleep too much, or remain in a comfortable position. Voluntarily accepting some penances and difficulties, one should take less food and less sleep. These are the procedures for practicing any kind of yoga, whether Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Hatha Yoga. Text 15. Prajapate kardamasya tapoyoga vijrimabhitam swagarhastyam anopamyam prarthyam vaimanikairyapi. Prajapati, of the progenitor of mankind, Kardamasya, Kardama Muni, Tapa by austerity, Yoga by yoga, Vijrimbhitam, developed Swagarhastyam, his home and household paraphernalia, Anaupamyam, unequaled, Prarthyam, unenviable, Vaimanikai, by the denizens of heaven, Api, even. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The home and household paraphernalia of Kardama, who was one of the Prajapatis, was developed in such a way by dint of his mystic powers of austerity and yoga that his opulence was sometimes envied by those who travel in outer space in airplanes. Purport. The statement in this verse that Kardama Muni's household affairs were envied even by persons who travel in outer space refers to the denizens of heaven. Their airships are not like those we have invented in the modern age, which fly only from one country to another. Their airplanes were capable of going from one planet to another. Their airplanes were capable of there are many such statements in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from which we can understand that there were facilities to travel from one planet to another, especially in the higher planetary system, and who can say that they are not still traveling? The speed of our airplanes and space vehicles is very limited, but as we have already studied, Kardama Muni traveled in outer space in an airplane which was like a city, and he journeyed to see all the different heavenly planets. That was not an ordinary airplane, nor was it an Nor was it ordinary space travel, because Kadam Muni was a powerful mystic yogi. His opulence was envied by the denizens of heaven. Text 16. Payafena nibhashaya danta rukma parichadaha asanani cha haimani susparsastaranani cha. Paya of milk, Fena the foam, Nibhaha resembling, Shayaha beds, Danta made of ivory, Rukma golden, Parichadaha with covers, Asnani chairs and benches, Cha and Haimani made of gold, Susparsha soft to the touch, Astaranani cushions, Cha and. Translation and purport by Sivan Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The opulence of the household of Kardama Muni is described herein. The bed sheets and the mattresses were all as white as the foam of milk. The chairs and benches were made of ivory and were covered by cloths of lace with golden filigree, and the couches were made of gold and had very soft pillows. स्वच्छस्फटिककुड्येषु महामारकटेषु च रत्नप्रदीपाभन्ति ललना रत्नसंयुता. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The walls of the house were made of first-class marble, decorated with valuable jewels, and there was no need of light, for the household was illuminated by the rays of these jewels. The female members of the household were all amply decorated with jewelry. Purport: it is understood from the statement that the opulences of household life were exhibited in valuable jewels, ivory, first-class marble, and furniture made of gold and jewels. The clothes are also mentioned as being decorated with gold and filigree. Everything actually had some value. It was not like the furniture of the present day, which is cast in valueless plastic or base metal. The way of Vedic civilization is that whatever was used in household affairs had to be valuable. In case of needs, such items of value could be exchanged immediately. Thus, once broken and unwanted furniture and paraphernalia would never be without value. This system is still followed by Indians in household affairs. They keep metal utensils and golden ornaments or silver plates and valuable silk garments with gold embroidery. And in case of need, they can have some money in exchange immediately. There are exchanges for the money lenders and the householders. Grihodyanam kusumitai ramyam bahu amra drumai Jad vihanga mithunam gayan matta madhuvratam. Griha Udyanam, the household garden, Kusum Mithaiha with flowers, Bahu Amara Drumaiha with many celestial trees, Kujat are singing, Vihanga of birds, Mithunam with pairs, Gayat humming, Matta intoxicated, Madhuvratam with bees. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The compound of the main household was surrounded by beautiful gardens with sweet, fragrant flowers and many trees which produced fresh fruit and were tall and beautiful. The attraction of such gardens was that singing birds would sit on the trees, and their chanting voices, as well as the humming sound of the bees, made the whole atmosphere as pleasing as possible. Text 19. Yatra pravishtam atmanam vibhudhanuchara jago vapyam utpala gandhinyam Kardamenopalalitam. Yatra where Pravishtam entered, Atmanam unto her, Vibudha Anucharaha, the associates of the denizens of heaven, Jago sang, Vapyam in the pond, Utpala of lotuses, Gandhinyam with the fragrance, Kardamena by Kardama, Upalalitam, treated with great care. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When Devahuti would enter that lovely garden to take her bath in the pond filled with lotus flowers, the associates of the denizens of heaven, the Gandharvas, would sing about Kardama's glorious household life. Her great husband Kardama gave her all protection at all times. Purport: the ideal husband and wife relationship is very nicely described in this statement. Kardamani gave Devahuti all sorts of comforts in his duty as a husband, but he was not at all attached to his wife. As soon as his son Kapaladev was grown up, Kardama at once left all family connections. Similarly, Devahuti was the daughter of a great king, Swayambhuva Manu, and was qualified and beautiful, but she was completely dependent on the protection of her husband. According to women, the fair sex should not have independence at any stage of life. In childhood, a woman must be under the protection of the parents. In youth, she must be under the protection of her husband. In the old age, she must be under the protection of the grown-up children. Devahuti demonstrated all these statements of the Manu Samhita in her life. As a child, she was dependent on her father. Later, she was dependent on her husband in spite of her opulence. And she was later on dependent on her son Kapiladeva. Text 20. हित्वा तद् इप्सितातमम् अप्याखण्डलयोषितां किञ्चिच्चाकरवदनं पुत्रविश्लेषणानृतः. Hitva, having given up, that household, ipsita tamam, most desirable, api, even, akhandala yoshitam, by the wives of Lord Indra, kinchit chakara, vadanam, she wore a sorry look on her face, putra vishileshana, by separation from her son, Adura, afflicted. Translation and powered by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Although her position was unique from all points of view, saintly Devahuti, in spite of her positions, which were envied even by the ladies of the heavenly planets, gave up all such comforts. She was only sorry that her great son was separated from her. Purport: Devahuti was not at all sorry at giving up her material comforts, but she was very much aggrieved at the separation of her son. It may be questioned here that if Devahuti was not at all sorry to give up the material comforts of life, then why was she sorry about losing her son? Why was she so attached to her son? The name is explained in the next verse. He was not an ordinary son. Her son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can give up the material attachment, therefore, only when one has attachment for the Supreme Person. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita, Param Drishtva Nivartate. Only when one actually has some taste for spiritual existence can he be reluctant to follow the materialistic way of life. Text 21. Vanam pravrajate patyau apatya virahatura gyatva tattvapya abhum nashte vatse gauriva vatsala. Vanam, to the forest, Pravrajite Patyo, when her husband left home, Apatya Viraha, by separation from her son, Atura, very sorry, Gyatva Tattva, knowing the truth, Gyata Tattva, knowing the truth, Api, although, Abhut, she became Nashte Vatse, when her calf is lost, Gau, a cow, ever like, Vatsala, affectionate. Translation and puppet by His Divine Grace, S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Devahuti's husband had already left home and accepted the renounced order of life, and her only son, Kapila, left home. Although she knew all the truths of life and death, and although her heart was cleansed of all dirt, she was very aggrieved at the loss of her son, just as a cow is affected when all her calf dies. Purported woman whose husband is away from home or has taken the renounced order of life should not be very happy. Sorry, should not be very sorry because she still has the presence of her husband's representative, her son. It is said in the Vedic scriptures, Atmaiva Putro Jayate, the husband's body is represented by the son. Strictly speaking, a woman is never widowed if she had a grown up son. Devahuti was not very much affected while Kapila Muni was there, but upon his departure, she was very afflicted. She grieved not because of her worldly relationship with Kardama Muni, but because of her sincere love for the personality of the Godhead. The example given here is that Devahuti became just like a cow who has lost her calf. A cow bereft of her calf cries day and night. Similarly, Devahuti was aggrieved and she always cried and requested her friends and relatives, please bring my son home so that I may live. Otherwise, I shall die. This intense affection for Supreme Personality of Godhead, although manifested as affection for one's son, is spiritually beneficial. Attachment for a material son obliges one to remain in material existence, but the same attachment, when transferred to the Supreme Lord, brings one elevation to the spiritual world in the association of the Lord. Every woman can qualify herself as much as Devahuti and then can also have the Supreme Godhead as her son. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead can appear as the son of Devahuti, he can also appear as the son of any other woman, provided that woman is qualified. If one gets the Supreme Lord as a son, he can have the benefit of bringing up a nice son in this world and at the same time get promotion to the spiritual world to become the face-to-face associate of the personality of Godhead. तमेव ध्यायति देवम् अपत्यं कपिलं हरिं बभुवाचित् चिरतो वत्स निःस्पृहा तादृशगृहे. Tam upon him, eva certainly, dhyayati, meditating, devam divine, apatyam son, kapilam Lord Kapila, Harim the supreme personality of Godhead, Babhuva became achirata very soon, Vatsa, oh dear Vidura, nispraha unattached, tadrshe grihe, to such a home. Translation in puppet by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O Vidura, thus always meditating upon her son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Deva, she very soon became unattached to her nicely decorated home. Oh, but here's a practical example of how one can elevate oneself in spiritual advancement by Krishna consciousness. Kapila Deva is Krishna and he appeared as a son of Devahuti. After Kapila Dev left home, Devahuti was absorbed in thought of him and thus she was always Krishna conscious. Her constant situation in Krishna consciousness enabled her to be detached uh, from hearth and home. What is hearth, Prabhu? Okay, is it heart? Oh, why one extra edge? Okay, Prabhu. Unless we are able to transfer our attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no possibility of becoming freed from material attachment. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam therefore confirms that it is not possible for one to become liberated by cultivation of empiric philosophical speculation. Simply knowing that one is not matter but spirit soul, or Brahman, does not purify one's intelligence. Even if the impersonalist reaches the highest platform of spiritual realization, he falls down again to the material attachment because of not being situated in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. The devotees adopt the devotional process, hearing about the Supreme Lord's pastimes and glorifying his activities, and thereby always remembering his beautiful eternal form. By rendering service, becoming his friend or his servant, and offering him everything that one possesses, one is able to enter into the kingdom of God. As it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Tato mam tatvato gyatva. After this discharging pure devotional service, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, thus one become eligible to enter into his association in one of the spiritual planets. Text 23. ध्यायति भगवद्रूपं यदाह ध्यान गोचरं सुतप्रसन्नवदनं समस्तव्यस्तचिन्तया. Dhyayati, meditating Bhagavad Rupam upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet which he instructed, Dhyana Gocharam, the object of meditation, Sutta, her son, Prasanna Vadanam, with a smiling face, Samasta on the whole, Vyasta on the parts, Chintaya with her mind. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thereafter, having heard with great eagerness in all detail from her son Kapiladev the eternally smiling personality of Godhead, Devahuti began to meditate constantly upon the Vishnu form of the Supreme Lord. Bhakti Pravaha Yogena Vairagena Baliyasa Yuktanusthana Jatena Jnanena Brahma Hetuna Vishuddhena Tadatmanam Atmana Vishvato Mukham Swanubhutya Tirobhuta Maya Guna Visheshanam. Bhakti Pravaha Yogena, by continuous engagement in devotional service, Vairagena, by renunciation, Baliyasa, very strong, Yukta Anusthana, by proper performance of duties, Jatena, produced, Jnanena, by knowledge, Brahma Hetuna, due to realization of the absolute truth, Vishuddhena, by purification, Tada, then, Atmanam, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Atmana, with the mind, Vishvataha Mukham, whose face is turned everywhere, Swanubhutya, by self-realization, Tirabhuta, disappeared, Mayaguna, of the modes of material nature, Visheshanam, distinctions. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. She did so with serious engagement in devotional service because she was strong in renunciation. She accepted only the necessities of the body. She became situated in knowledge due to realization of the absolute truth. Her heart became purified. She became fully absorbed in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all misgivings due to the modes of material nature disappeared. Text 26. ब्रह्मण्यवस्थितमतिर्भगवत्य आत्मसंश्रये निवृत्तजितवपतित्वत्वात् क्षीणक्लेशप्तनिवृत्तिः. Brahmani, in Brahman, Avasthita, situated Mati, her mind, Bhagavati, in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Atma Samshray, residing in all living entities, Nivritta, freed, Jiva, of the Jiva soul, uh, Apatitvat, from the unfortunate condition, Shina, disappeared, Klesha, material pangs, Apta, attained, Nivritti, transcendental bliss. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Her mind became completely engaged in the Supreme Lord, and she automatically realized the knowledge of the impersonal Brahman. As the Brahman realized soul, she was freed from the designations of the materialistic concept of life. Thus, all material pangs disappeared, and she attained transcendental bliss. Purport. The previous verse stated that Devahuti was already conversant with the absolute truth. It may be questioned that why she was meditating. The explanation is that when one theoretically discusses the absolute truth, he becomes situated in the impersonal concept of absolute truth. Similarly, when one seriously discusses the subject matter of the form, quality, pastimes, and entourage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes situated in meditation on him. If one has complete knowledge of the Supreme Lord, then knowledge of the impersonal Brahman is automatically realized. The absolute truth is realized by the knower according to three different angles of vision, namely impersonal Brahman, localized supersoul, and ultimately the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one is situated, therefore, in knowledge of the Supreme Person, this implies that one is already situated in the concept of the supersoul and impersonal Brahman. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. This means that unless one is freed from the material entanglement and situated in Brahman, there is no question of entering into the understanding of devotional service or engaging in Krishna consciousness. One who is engaged in devotional service to Krishna is understood to be already realized in the Brahman concept of life, because transcendental knowledge of the supreme personality of Godhead includes knowledge of Brahman. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi pratisthaham. The concept of the personality of Godhead does not depend on Brahman. The Vishnu Puran also confirms that one who has taken shelter of the all auspicious Supreme Lord is already situated in the understanding of Brahman. In other words, one who is a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. Another significant point of this verse is that one who has to observe the prescribed rules and regulations as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Yuktahara Viharasya, when one engages in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, he still has to eat, sleep, defend, and mate because there are necessities of the body. These are necessities of the body. But he performs such activities in a regulated way. He has to eat Krishna Prasad. He has to sleep according to regulated principles. The principle is to reduce the duration of sleep and to reduce eating, taking only what is needed to keep the body fit. In short, the goal is spiritual advancement, not sense gratification. Similarly, sex life must be reduced. Sex life is meant only for begetting Krishna conscious children. Otherwise, there is no necessity for sex life. Nothing is prohibited, but everything is made yukta, regulated with a higher purpose always in mind. By following all these rules and regulations of living, one becomes purified and all misconceptions due to ignorance become nil. It is specifically mentioned here that the causes of material entanglement are completely vanquished. The Sanskrit statement anartha nivriti indicates that his body is unwanted. We are spirit soul, and there was never any need for this material body. But because we wanted to enjoy the material body, we therefore have this body through the material energy under the direction of the material body under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As soon as we are reestablished in our original position of servitorship to the Supreme Lord, we begin to forget the necessities of the body, and at last we forget the body. Sometimes in a dream, we get a particular type of body with which to work in the dream. I may dream that I am flying in the sky or I have gone into the forest or some unknown place. But as soon as I am awake, I forget all these bodies. Similarly, when one is Krishna conscious, fully devoted, he forgets all his changes of body. We are always changing bodies. Um, we are always changing bodies, beginning at the birth from the womb of our mother. But when we are awakened to Krishna consciousness, we forget all these bodies. The bodily necessities become secondary, for the primary necessity is the engagement of the soul in real spiritual life. The activities of devotional service in full Krishna consciousness are the cause of our where am I? Where am I? Yeah, activities of devotional service in full Krishna consciousness are the cause of our being situated in transcendence. The words Bhagavatyatma Samshare, Samras, Samshre denote the personality of Godhead as the supreme soul or the soul of everyone. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bijamam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the seed of all entities. By taking shelter of the Supreme Being by the process of devotional service, one becomes fully situated in the concept of personality of Godhead. As described by Kapila, Madguna Shruti Matrena, one who is fully Krishna conscious, situated as in the personality of Godhead, is immediately satis- uh, saturated with love of God as soon as he hears about the transcendental qualities of the Lord. Devahuti was fully instructed by her son Kapilam Deva on how to concentrate her mind on the Vishnu form in full detail. Following the instructions of her son in the matter of devotional service, she contemplated the form of the Lord within herself with great devotional love. That is the perfection of Brahman realization or the mystic yoga system or devotional service. And the ultimate issue, when one is fully absorbed in thought of the Supreme Lord and meditates on Him constantly, that is the highest perfection. Bhagavad Gita confirms that one who is always absorbed in such a way is to be considered the topmost yogi. The real purpose of all processes of transcendental realization, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga, is to arrive at the point of devotional service. If one endeavors simply to achieve knowledge of the absolute truth or the super soul, but has no devotional service, then he labors without gaining the real benefits. That is compared to beating the husks of wheat after the grains have already been removed. Unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be the ultimate goal, it is valueless simply to speculate or perform mystic yoga practice. In the Ashtanga Yoga system, the seventh stage of perfection is dhyana. This dhyana is the This dhyana is the third stage of devotional service. There are 9 stages of devotional service. The first is hearing, and then comes chanting, and then contemplating. By executing devotional service, therefore, one automatically becomes an expert jnani and an expert yogi. In other words, jnana and yoga are different preliminary stages of devotional service. Devahuti was expert in accepting the real substance. She contemplated the form of Vishnu in detail as advised by her smiling son Kapila. At the same time, she was thinking of Kapiladeva, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore she completely perfected her austerities, penances, and transcendental realization. Prabhu, I can read this only. Oh, sorry.
Yes, Prabhu, we can go now to 6 second prayers and finish the rest tomorrow. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I was not coming many times because I was doing chanting late night. So I'm right now doing more, trying to do chanting in the early morning.
Yes, Prabhu, try to do early, then you can join the reading also.
Yeah. Prabhu, what's the usually time? Is it the fixed time when you start the reading session?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, it's around fixed time, 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Okay, bro, it is fine. 8 p.m. Like I go to dinner, I come back at 8:20, 8:20,
Yes,
8:25. Then I
Prabhu.
can join.
Next month it will come earlier, like 1 or 2 hours earlier. It will become like that. When we turn to
Okay.
summertime.
Summer is approaching. Yes, bro, that's
Yes, Prabhu. But it's still like 40 days, 45 days.
hmm. Okay, bro. You please notify Prabhu whenever you change any time.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, bro.
So,
Good.
so tomorrow we're going to finish the chapter, the Canto 3. Oh, Hare Krishna, Gaura Shakti Prabhu, Dandar Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my good
Hare Krishna, dear Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I just came to say hi to you all, to greet you all. Thank you very much for your precious and valuable association. And yeah, please forgive me. I was not so present in the reading session, but I
No
had 2
problem,
reading
Prabhu.
sessions at the evening, Prabhu. So it's
Yes, Prabhu.
very hard for
We
me to
understand.
join. So yeah, so sometimes when Sami Prabhu, especially in the summer, will
Yeah, when we meet
begin
early.
more earlier, I will have the time to come and to join the session. I'm very happy that you quite almost finished the third canto. Well
Yes,
done,
Prabhu.
everyone. Haribol, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you. I will leave now. I have to host another reading session.
Oh,
Vanchakalpatarubhya Chakripasinduvyeva Chapatitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Thank you very much all for your precious and valuable association. Haribol, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
So, okay, now we go to 6 second prayers. Who would like to start?
Okay, I can chant. Shri Shishtastakam. Chetu Darpanamarjanam Bhavamaga. Chetu Darpanamarjanam Bhavamaha Davagni Nirvarpanam Shreya Kairavachandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadu Jeevanam Anandam Mudivardhanam Pratipadam Purnam Vitasvadanam Sarvatmastapam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam
नाम्नामकारि बहुधानि च सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पितानि स्मरणेन काला एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमिदृशं हैजनेन न ग्रहा Continue. Continue to go next 11. You can read.
Trinadapi Sanechana Tararupi Sarishna Falani Namanadena Kirtani Yasudahari.
नदनं नदनं न सन्दरेण कविसंवादगरीक्षकामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भगवद्भक्तिरहितपित्वयि ऐनन्दतनुजकिङ्करं पतितां मां वशवयं भवां बोधो कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्तदूषितस्मिन् विचिन्तया
Nayanam Galata Shradharaya Vadanam Gadgatidutaya Kirapulikarnichitam Vapukada Tulanamagra Bhavishyati.
युगायितं निशेन चक्षुषा प्राविचारितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दं विरहेण मे
Ashlishva Padaratam Pinashtamam Adarashanam Marmatam Karutu Vayata Tata Bhavadatalam Pato Matpranana Tishtasa Evanam Para.
Glory to Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Glory to Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all days, all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name can alone render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of your kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower in the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth.
O son of Maharajananda Krishna, I am your dullness, a better at some or other, I fallen into the ocean of worthlessness. Please pick me from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, filling with of patience, I am considering a moment to be like tears or more tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shikshashtakam ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki
Jai,
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 Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
जय बहुन जन्म करे यदि श्रवण कीर्तन बहुता न पाया Krishna padaya Srimadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many years, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate love goal of its goal of this chanting. The offenses against the chanting of holy name are as follows. First reference to Lakshman, the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu.
Third offense to disobey the orders of the master and considering him as an ordinary person.
Fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version.
Fifth offense to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to vain imagination.
Sixth offense is to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense to commit the sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord.
Eighth offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda.
Ninth offense to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
10th offense is to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Now let us offer a respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desired trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
And the
अनन्तकोटि वैष्णव जय श्री प्रभात जय
Jai,
जय
Jai,
हरि हरि
Hari
Hare
Bol.
Hare, Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so much again. Association Prabhu's all glories to Prabhupada. See you again.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.